Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stands. I've got Ben Foster with me again. It's the international break and, well, I'll say hello, Ben, first of all.
Hello, mate. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Now I'm going to tell everyone what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the international break because obviously Ben Foster has been a professional footballer. He retired this week as well.
I did retire this week, yeah. It's been an eventful week, mate. I played golf. I did a football video with Yaya Toure, and I think you were about to say it then, but I chose the worst day ever to retire because a big major tennis player apparently chose the same day to retire as me as well.
Two goats of the sports game retired on the same day, Federer and Foster. Double F.
There you go, yeah.
We're going to talk about the international break because you've been an England international and you've been left behind when people were away on international duty. It's a big couple of weeks for Ten Hag. He wants to do things. So I want to ask Ben about what it is actually like on the training ground when, 80% of your squad, although not 80% of Watford's squad would have been away, would they?
No, do you know what? I'd say most Premier League teams, it's a good sort of 70% will be away. It is probably 70 to 80% to be fair, because even teams like Watford, it's obviously it's not going to be your main countries like your England or Germany's or stuff like that, but it's still international players.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about what it's like, for the players who've gone away, like Maguire and Shaw, and whether it's good for them and Ronaldo and everyone. And we'll talk about what Ten Hag can do with those players who are behind, realistically. But first thing we'll talk about, last week we spoke about Jadon Sancho.
Yep.
And you said the jury's a little bit out on him. Obviously scored his goal, got his shin pads out on Thursday night. Positivity around him. Not in the England squad. Three Man United players in the England squad. None of them actually play for Manchester United. Dean Henderson, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. Jadon Sancho, one of the few players who actually gets in the United side who is English, not in the squad.
Yeah.
What is that all about, or do you think that's the correct decision?
I think the players that are in the England squad, it's almost like they've got the credits in the bank a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because of what they've already done for England and kind of proven track record of being able to be trusted. I think that's the reason why they're in the squad. The big surprise for me to start with straight away was Luke Shaw, and I think probably most people was fairly surprised with that. I think the problem, well, not his problem, but a problem for the country, is that there is a distinct lack of left backs. Though I don't know if you can tell me any more, but all I can think of at the minute is Ben Chilwell and Luke Shaw, and that's about it, really. Yeah,
well, we're going to Google this now. Just young English left backs. If you type it into Google, it will come up with Ryan Sessegnon and a list of 39 more. So you've got Ryan Sessegnon, Luke Shaw, Ben Chilwell, James Justin, Matt Targett, Rico Hendry, Tyreek Mitchell, Kyle Walker-Peters, and then for some reason, Bobby Moore, who was a centre-back and played in the '66 World Cup. So if Bobby Moore's in the top 8...
We've got a problem,
yeah, we have got a problem.
To be fair, Kyle Walker-Peters, I always think is in for a shout. I know Southampton have been a bit indifferent this season, but every time I've seen him, he looks like a promising player. Anyway, I think for Luke Shaw, like I say, it's if you think back, only just over a year for the Euro final, right? And you think of him scoring that goal after about 4 or 5 minutes, and at that moment in time, I honestly think he was at the peak of his powers, probably the best Luke Shaw has ever been.
Shawberto Carlos.
Shawberto Carlos, right there in that single moment. And it's almost like ever since that moment, it's just been a steady, gradual decline down. Whether he needs kind of, I don't know, a bit of an extended run in the team, maybe it is getting into the England team to have a little bit of a confidence boost, get himself away from Man United for a little bit. The problem he's got, though, back at Man U, he's got a young lad taking his place, Malacia, who's just been absolutely incredible.
I think, it's a weird one because we're obviously a little bit older, and I think back to '98 World Cup when Gaza famously got left out of the squad for Phil Neville and, apparently went mad on the golf course and stuff like that. But we never really, and it would have been a bigger deal. I feel that the press around England are a lot easier on Southgate than they have ever been with any other manager.
Yeah.
And I just don't... I mean, even though it benefits United, because I agree that, Luke Shaw and Maguire, they're not United players, so them going away and playing for England and training actually helps us. I think they get some game time. But there was a time where the press, and there would be more made of the fact that you're picking Harry Maguire, doesn't start for United, Luke Shaw doesn't start for Man United, Calvin Phillips doesn't start for Man City, there's a few others as well that don't come to mind. But there's, I agree with you that Southgate's picking them on what they've done in the past. But Jadon Sancho was at the Euros. He took a penalty in the final, and he's out. And then I think Jared Bowen's been bang average for West Ham.
Yeah, he has.
And I think we've taken 4 right-backs as well. And Sancho's in form. I mean, I wouldn't say he's in scintillating form.
But he's scoring goals.
But loads of... I think most England players at the moment are not in form.
Yeah.
They're either not playing or they're not in form. And I just think Southgate's got that wrong. I think if you... Somebody said it on the weekends, Southgate actually came out 18 months ago and says, I pick players on form. Yeah. He's completely contradicted himself.
Yeah, he has. I think he basically picks players that he knows he can rely on. And I think his track record for England, the thing we've got is, I don't think you can argue with it either. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got to a semi-final of a World Cup, he's got to a final of a Euro, and...
Football's been so boring and bad,
I'm with you, though, but
I want some excitement.
I'm with you, but I guarantee you, though, that if we go to the next World Cup and we play incredible football but lose 5-4 in the first round of 16 game or whatever, everybody's going to be kicking off and everybody's going to be fuming. So I think you have to trust him a little bit. You know, you've got to remember as well, he's the guy that gets to see these players up close and personal. So even then, you mentioned like Jared Bowen and Jadon Sancho and those kind of guys. He's the one that sees them up close and personal. So for the system that he wants to play, I think he's going to pick the players that are going to fit into his system. You know, Luke Shaw, I'm fairly sure he's not going to start. I'm pretty sure it'll be Ben Chilwell.
Probably Trippier.
But it could be Trippier. He loves to play Trippier. Trippier can play anywhere in that back line, pretty much. But Harry Maguire, it was guaranteed that he was going to get picked, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I do think as well, you're right, he is whether we like it or not, Southgate's a very conservative manager. I mean, the fact that, and obviously we're a United channel, but I'm trying to justify why Sancho should be in the team, because in the team for me, but certainly in the squad, Trent Alexander-Arnold's one of the best attacking right-backs in the world. You're playing a back 5. Like, he should be playing at right-back. In a back 5, you don't really need the defensive as that, and he still won't find a place for him because he wants to be this defensive player, which is why Harry Maguire does so well for England. It's no surprise that Harry Maguire plays well in a deep back 5 with 2
where you haven't got to be so expansive and he can sort of stay in his role. That's the problem that he's got for Man United. It's a massive problem for him and for Manchester United, the fact that they've got this player that they've spent £80 million on. He's on huge wages, and realistically, he's not the sort of player that the manager is going to want to play. Hence the reason why he only lasted, 1 or 2 games under the new manager, and then he's quickly out. And to be fair, Lisandro Martinez has taken to it like a duck to water, hasn't he? I know a lot has been said about his height and all that kind of stuff, and it will always be said. And there's going to be times where he's going to lose out aerially and all that kind of stuff. But he will always play the way that the manager wants him to play. So I think he'll sacrifice the fact that sometimes he's going to concede soft goals or aerial goals or stuff like that. But the majority of the time, he's going to get what he wants from his centre-back.
We'll talk about what will go on at Old Trafford over the next couple of weeks with the players left behind and Ten Hag's system and training. But what about the players like Harry Maguire, who are going to go on England duty? I think Luke Shaw said back in March he prefers being on internet. It's a stupid thing to say because it's going to isolate you, but you can sort of understand that United was a toxic place, and he goes to England and they all get on, and Southgate calls him up when he doesn't play. But it's a different United now. If he goes away and makes it obvious that they prefer it to be with England when United are doing well, that's not going to do them very good. And also Maguire, he might play really well for a couple of games against Germany and Italy, but he'll be playing in a back 5, which has got nothing to do with how Ten Hag plays. So what do they get out of that being away? What do you get out of being away from your club football for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's this international break, I'd say, is really, really important for people like Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire, actually, because you've got to think from the personal side of it. So think of them as people, They're at Man United and they know they're not going to play. So they know that every time a game comes around on a Saturday, Premier League especially, they might start in a Europa League game or whatever. But when it comes to Premier League and when it really matters, when there's something on the line, they're not going to be needed. They're not going to be called upon. And that, personally, it can really affect you. It gets in your head a little bit, to be perfectly honest with you. So when they go away with England, it's like they just feel a bit more love. They feel needed, do you know what I mean? So it keeps them going, which is actually a really good thing for them, because when they're back at Man United, it's very easy. If they had nothing to look forward to, it's very easy to kind of, not down tools, and I don't mean it like that, I mean, but like, it's kind of like human nature that if you've got nothing to aim for, you take your foot off the gas a little bit, don't you? You kind of hold back, withdraw, you don't go to the gym like you used to, you don't put it all in. But when you know that you've got the England qualifiers coming up, or you've got an England friendly, or even the England World Cup, which is only 6 weeks away, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you going, do you know what? I've got to keep going 110% every single day. So I think the fact that they are getting called up for England, the fact they are playing for England as well, can only benefit Man United because it keeps that player interested and it keeps them going.
Yeah, and then the flip side of the coin is Ronaldo just started getting back in the team, scored a goal. He'll go to Portugal now and be the main man and play up front. Again, I suppose the positives of that are that it's just, a bit like Casemiro with Brazil as well. They need the game time.
It's the same thing. It's exactly
as long as they can stay fit, they might come back with a bit more fitness and momentum.
Yeah, it's that kind of, they've got, the playing for their country for these guys is they're heroes. They are literally national heroes, the people that you've mentioned there. So it keeps them fully interested, like Ronaldo. Ronaldo is going to give it 110% every single day anyway. But when they go away with their national team, it's like nothing ever changed. It's like, oh, I'm the main man again. And sometimes players need that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you got to remember, footballers are egotistical people, Mark. Yeah. They are. They love, like, there's plenty of footballers out there that go, no, I'm not egotistical, but they are. Deep down, they love it. They love that kind of feeling of being wanted and being needed and being adored.
Well, it's a reward industry, isn't it? Of
course it is.
If you're not picked, naturally, you've got to feel down. And if you are picked, you're going to feel good, aren't you?
Everybody wants to be loved. It's as simple as that. In life and in football, Mark, right? That's how life works, yeah? So when these lads get to go away with their national teams, it's like a chance to go, oh, yeah, I feel needed, I feel loved again. So hopefully that when they come back to United in a couple of weeks' time, they're a better version of what they were before they left.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, definitely, with Ronaldo and Casemiro. So let's talk about the players who've been left behind. A lot of United fans, myself included, are like, well, you've got Sancho, Rashford didn't go, hopefully be back fit soon, Martial, Donny van der Beek, David De Gea, players like that. I mean, it could be a good couple of weeks for David De Gea. How does it work? Because Ten Hag's there are players there. What is the training system like for those 2 weeks? Is it a bit of an easy ride? Is it intense? What's it like today, tomorrow and every other day for the next 2 weeks while 70–80% of your squad's away, but you're left with the manager and the coaches? Does that give you an opportunity to get in the coach's mind? Does the coach think, how does it work?
It's managers basically view it now as kind of a mini pre-season. So unfortunately for the players that are left behind, it's going to be especially the first week anyway. So if it's a 2-week international break, for example, you know that first week it's going to be intense, it's going to be hard work, and it's going to be predominantly fitness work. There's no point. The problem you got is when 80% of your starting lineup disappears, there's no point in doing technical work and tactical work because you're not working with the players that are going to be doing it. So you
can't look forward to the City game and say we're going to do this.
Exactly. There's no point in doing it. So you may as well just work on you're better off pulling everybody in, and I've had this plenty of times where you literally get everybody into the changing rooms on that Monday morning for the very first day and go, right, lads, this week is going to be hard work, yeah? You're going to be working, we're going to be running your socks off, but your fitness level is going to improve for it, right? And then every day we'll finish with like 6-a-sides and round-robin games and all that kind of stuff just to get a bit of an enjoyment. And then next week we'll start as a normal week, build into the game kind of thing, because that's what they'll do. They'll get to the following week and it will be like a build-in week to the next game. So that's when we will start to touch on Man City and whatever, but again, you haven't got the players. So it will just be a lot easier next week. But that first week, it is just hard work. I've got to say, for me personally, when I got a bit older and say when I was at Watford or whatever and the international break would come around, I would love the international breaks. I would, because it was like a lot of people would disappear. It would be a lot quieter. Yeah. Me being a senior goalkeeper, I might get an extra few days off or something. I used to absolutely buzz off the fact that everybody would disappear and they'd be playing these games and they'd be all over Europe, and I'm sitting there thinking, silly buggers, that looks like hard work, that did. I used to really enjoy it.
Yeah, especially if you're not playing in the international.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, yeah, I did that for a long time. Like, the majority of my England career was spent sort of travelling all over the world and then not playing as well. And for me, I always enjoyed playing football, don't get me wrong, but the match was the bit for me, the kick-off, you know what I mean? That 3 o'clock kick-off, the adrenaline buzz, all that was what I sort of aimed for. I worked my week knowing I had that sort of like little carrot dangling at the end of the week. But yeah, when you're not playing and you're still travelling all over the world, it's a tough thing.
You withdrew, didn't you? Didn't you say you didn't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly.
Well, Carrick did it as well for United.
Yeah, exactly that. It's you get to a point where you kind of just go, listen, you may as well basically take my place and give it to a younger version. Give it to somebody that can like really buzz off doing this and like really needs the experience kind of thing. I think it's more important for younger players to do that.
I was going to ask you, actually, David De Gea, I did a video on the members section, many of you may have watched it, where I sort of looked at De Gea in the first few games of this season compared to last season. Because the modern thing, I mean, I think Courtois had it at the weekend in the Madrid derby as well, where, you know, people are having a go at him for coming for crosses and missing. And it's almost like, as a goalkeeper now, shot stopping is secondary to passing out from the back. Now, De Gea, just one stat from last year, he was averaging about 6.5 forward passes per game, and it's gone up to nearly 12.
Yeah.
I think Ederson does about 13.
Yeah.
So you can see there's I mean, it could just be the way that Ten Hag wants to play, but do you think, as a goalkeeper, if you were at Manchester United still playing now, and you were a goalkeeper that's just a shot stopper, you're not really a sweeper keeper, can a manager like Erik Ten Hag come in and improve you and David De Gea into that type of a goalkeeper, or is it already set in stone that you're never going to be that goalkeeper that wants to come off their line, come out their box, pass out from the back?
Yeah, you are, as a goalie, you are what you are. I think that's a fair statement to say. I do also think, though, that for someone like David De Gea, I think David, if he's got the players in front of him to do it, I think he can play out from the back. He's decent at doing it. He plays some lovely balls now. But I think what he's had over the last couple of years, though, is he's had a back four of players really that didn't really want the ball. Like, you watch Man City, right? If you watch the way Man City work, when Ederson gets the ball, everybody just spreads out. Yeah. I mean, everybody. So the right wingers, the left wingers, they will push up and they will hug the line. The same with the fullbacks, right back, left. They will get as wide as they possibly can. The defenders will split as well, so that if one of their attackers is going to try and shut David De Gea down, he's got an easy pass. He's got a simple pass. So eventually, it gets in the attacker's head. What's the point? Because he just picks a pass every time, and it makes it easier for him. But when it was Man United over the last couple of years, I felt for David De Gea because he would get the ball at his feet, he would look up, and you'd have the right back and the left back kind of hiding behind.
It's like me when I see my mother-in-law in the shops. I haven't seen her ignore it. Yeah.
I don't want this. You can see that they don't want the ball.
Yeah,
like they sort of like, if there's an attacker there, the defender will sort of half show, but not really.
Yeah.
But that kills you even more, because then when you do play in the ball, he gets a little panic on, the crowd get a little panic on, and eventually you just think, sod it, I'm just going to kick it. So if Ten Hag really wants to do this, and I think he has started to do this, he started to go, right, when we get the ball, everybody spreads out. This is yours. I'd rather you lose the ball playing this way than kind of like against the Brentford. You know the Brentford one, for example, where he's trying to play it back and everybody's all condensed. Sod that. Get out wide, yeah, and you'll be able to find the space, guaranteed.
Less risk as well.
Yeah, less risk as well.
And to be honest, if you're a goalkeeper and you've got Fred asking for the ball, you're going to kick it long, aren't you? You are going to kick it long. It's like when you're at school and, you know, you're running through one-on-one and you look to your left and you've got the school striker next to you. You know he's going to finish it. You've got the crap kid. You're like, I'm taking this on my own. You're not going to pass. Yeah. It's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly the same sort of thing. So, but I do. I think David De Gea's got that. I genuinely do, and I think it's the sort of thing that's a slow process. But once you get the better quality players who know what they're doing and are happy having the ball in a pressurised situation, even if it's like, did you see? I don't know if you saw the Man City goal on Saturday. I think it was the Haaland goal, actually, the second goal.
Yeah.
So it started from Ederson at the back. He's clipped one out to the left winger, who's just headed it on, flicked it into I don't know, Grealish, whoever it was. Played it round the corner for Haaland. Haaland runs on, puts it in. That's what it's about.
It's not just passing out from the back, it's speed as well, isn't it?
Exactly that. Doing that, catching the team, trying to press you, and if you can beat that press, get it out wide, boom, you hit them on the counter press, and that is a problem.
I tell you what, though, to be fair, I mean, I think De Gea can get better, and I think he will get better, but the modern goalkeeper is very different. I was watching the Brentford-Arsenal game at the weekend, and this ball just flew towards Raya in goal for Brentford, and he just took it down with his right foot, like magnet touch, took it down.
That's it now.
That's the modern goalkeeper.
Goalkeepers have to almost be like outfield players now. Yeah. They do. Like, they get in, like, even in training, we have to get involved in the boxes now. You know those boxes they do where you've got the ring of players and it's like, hey, all that kind of stuff. It's a worst nightmare for goalies if you're in the middle, because they're always trying to meg you and all that kind of stuff. But they want you to get involved in that now, because they want you to be able to make quick decisions, whether it's a one-touch pass, two-touch, all that kind of stuff. Bam, bam, bam. You've got to be really good with your feet nowadays. But I'm with you. I still think that people prioritise that over the actual saving and stopping the ball going in the back of the net. My ideal goalkeeper, perfect goalkeeper, is a Nick Pope. I know he can stop the ball going in the back of the net, and that will do me. I'll forgive the other stuff. He'll take my crosses, he'll stop balls going in the back of the net. Beautiful. Oh,
I've heard United fans say, yeah, it's all right stopping goals, but he's passing out from the back's terrible. And I'm like, no, you need to stop goals.
For sure.
It was, I think, I don't know what it was on. It was on some obscure website. Paddy Kenny used to play in goal for Sheffield United. And he said, I know David De Gea was Player of the Year last year, but any goalkeeper would have saved most of those shots. He's got to do more. And I'm like, does your mouth actually listen to what you know. Yeah,
unbelievable. A goalie shouldn't be saying that about other goalies, full stop, all right? We all need to get behind each other and have it, because it's a difficult job, mate, honestly. Goalkeepers is a thankless task at times, honestly.
Yeah. Well, look, international break, that was a really interesting insight into what goes on. So there you go. And it's a shorter international break as well, because I think even the Brazil and everyone finishes on the Tuesday, so they will have a couple of days. Normally, sometimes you can be back on a Friday playing on a Saturday.
Mate, that is one of the worst things, because especially I remember last season and the season before, Ismail Sarr, we would have a game on a Saturday, he would be arriving back on a Friday night. Like, literally, he would be coming back from wherever it was, all over Africa, whatever. It might be a sort of 6-7 hour flight or something, and he is arriving at the team hotel barely in time for dinner. So he's tired, he's jet lagged, all that kind of stuff. And then the manager's got a genuine decision to make over whether he starts him tomorrow or not. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a 60% Ismail Sarr, is it worth starting him? You might have injuries, you might have like fatigue, all that. It takes it out of them. So if they can get him back into the country on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, oh my God, that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most international games are done by the Tuesday. So even Fred and that should be back for Wednesday. Although Brazil might be playing in Europe, you never know. Pleasure to have you on, Ben.
As always.
And we'll speak to you next week. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like, get your comments in below on the international break and everything. We'll speak to you on the next one.